Right. So this is for portal development, because for that portal development, we have already created a point of sale system application, if you remember, in the
Yes,
last
yes, I remember.
last
Last week
session.
we have. Yes, yes.
We have created it.
Hmm.
So portal development, followed by the portal development, even we have discussed even about these things, because one is about the workflow part we have discussed already, connecting to the flows to automate it, all that stuff. That's about something we have already created.
Hmm.
Next one about when it comes to the low code platform, because there are different low code platforms which normally we will be using. In reference to that, open stored IDEs, because we have different IDEs are available. Because from the developmental perspective, I'm talking about, it's not from the administrative perspective, do remember. Because when we wants to develop any application, there are different IDs are required, because how to configure and how to install ID is also important. Okay, different IDs we use, something like My Eclipse, at the same time Visual Studio, right? So these are the different IDs we have to write some code, whatever the required code you want to write, everything can be written in this. In this regard, so if you want to import any kind of source control application, let's say, for example, there were some other external systems which are already connected. Now you want to import any source control folds, so source control and all everything from the existing application from this point of view, because when we are working on the application as a business analyst side, normally we have to support, because technical BA is something which is happening now, right? So it is not something as a functional BA anymore. That was already done. So
Yes.
when it comes to the technical BA perspective, it's always important for us to connect what kind of applications customers are using, development teams are using, and how this can be accessed. Okay, because already we have created a point of sale system, which is an application which is already created. In the last session, I have shown you this is what generally the application we have created already. So
Hmm.
whenever we created this application, wherein we must be knowing about the access controllers, because access controllers, because what are the different roles do we have in regard to this application, and what are the different, 1 minute, can you please be online?
Yes.
Someone is knocking the door, please. Sorry. Right. So access controllers, creating access controllers and whatever the roles do we have, this also we have to be updated, because this is back into the application. It is not on the front end, because whatever the layouts we have created, okay, whatever the list of layouts we have created for the existing application, followed by the kind of forms, whatever we have created, everything has to be updated. So before that, there are some data models which we need to create, different
Hmm.
data models we have to create. This data model creations, I think uh, in the beginning of the session, if I'm
Yes, in the
wrong,
beginner
this
session we have.
data models and all everything we have created already.
Hmm.
Next one about the forms, right? Whatever the required forms which are to be created. So there are some default forms designing we normally we do. So
Hmm.
this default forms for the application for POS system. POS nothing.
Raj, by roles you mean the users, na?
User roles I'm talking about.
User roles and all.
Hmm.
ठीक है.
I'm
Okay.
not going to user roles. I'm talking about forms now. Then I'll come to list layouts. Then I'll come to roles. Okay.
Okay.
One by one. Okay. Because first one tables we have created already. We have discussed already.
Hmm.
Second, we are talking about the forms. Okay. So we need to create forms and all. Here we can see there are different forms we can create. Okay, whatever the business duration means, if you want to add any kind of forms, or if you want to create any kind of forms as separate, we can create, because this is a default view, whatever we have. So if you want to have a new view, generally we need to create a new view here. This is for POS1, right? So POS1 is an view I have created, right? So I have
Right.
created a POS1. POS1 is what the form view we have created. Means if you want to create any kind of view, you have to create any kind of forms first. First of all, we need to select the fields. What are the required fields which we wants to be updated? into the existing forms, first of all, we need to create the fields.
Okay.
After that, the fields, what are the different field types we have that we have to create. But field types are not something all that is required, because there are lot many things are there, but we don't require. But before we are going to create the field types, it's always important for us to start the fields. Because in these fields, there are two major things we have. One is about the actual start, and second is about the actual end. Okay, these are the two major ones we have. Actual start, actual end, when it is required. So when there is any application we are done, let's say there is a form a customer is creating, right? So development team, user interface designers are creating. When they are creating a user interface designers are creating a form, there must be a starting, right? So how the layout of a particular user interface is required, that is the starting point. So where it has to be ended, it has to be ended with create, save, or something, right? Whatever the end options are we going to give it, that those are all are important when we are working on it. So that's the reason why whenever we are creating any kind of user interface, UI related, form related information you want to be provided, especially for the benefit of the development team or user interface team, whoever they are. First of all, we need to update what are the different columns we have, either it can be a single column or a two column. Normally, single column is something which people can see it easy. Okay, single column is what something which I have selected. All the information will be there. So now, if you want to delete this, right? So for example, if you want to delete the existing, remove existing folders, you want to remove it, you can remove this, point number one. Or else
Okay.
if you want to make any kind of editings to the existing stuff, this is where generally you need to create the field editing number. Means if you want to create any editing number and all everything. So here you can create. Means we need to create the label name, right? So what are the required labels we are going to create? That label name is what something which we have to create. Means different label names which we have to create, but make sure whether this is mandatory or not. Because
Okay.
number nothing but whatever the string type and all everything are comes under the number. But when it comes to the detail, when it comes to the names are we going to create, these names are comes under the alphabets, whatever the string, whatever the functionalities are we providing. So depends on the type of form you are going to create, what are all is required that we have to be updated. Now for point of sale system, what we are creating, let me close all this. Right. So whatever are required. So let us delete the remaining ones, whatever is required and all everything that I'm deleting all this first, because this is for the number. Okay. Number is what something here. So number is required, maybe whatever the billing number and all, maybe for that purpose this can be used. Assignment group is not required. Okay. Assign to is not required because this form is something creating by the user interface designers itself. Okay, user interface
Okay.
designer specified based on the role what we have given. So this is where generally this accessing roles and all everything will be given over here. Okay. Next
Okay.
state I am taking out, right? So priority, you can keep the priority as it is because priorities may falls under anything, right? So it can be high level
High
priority,
level, low
it can
level,
be low level
medium,
and all that, right? So this is
moderate.
generally what priority is what something we have to take, right? So for example, high level priority, right? So if you want to update the high level priority and all, you can select. And then next you need to select the drop down box where whatever the high priority items you want to be updated, everything can be updated. So that is 1 minute. It was hold.
Okay.
No, sorry. Yeah, right. So what happened? Yeah. Right. So the priority items are relating to that, right? So whatever the priority items and all everything we have to give. Next
Hmm.
open, I am deleting it. Approval by, this is majorly for this. This is a single column wherein I have taken these. Okay, these are the things which we have taken already. Now, if you want to add any kind of active or something, for example, whatever the fields you want to add, you can drag and drop. Simply not required. So actual start and actual end, one more reason is, if you are creating any kind of flow, this actual start and actual end are being useful to you. Understood? Clear, right?
Okay.
Because actual start and actual end, when we are creating any kind of business process flows, there it is required. Okay, that is needed. Next,
Okay.
approvals. Approvals is something which we have deleted already. Approval history is not required, as in when we don't have approval.
Approval set is not required.
Business duration is needed. Okay. Business duration is needed. Business duration means whatever, for example, we are creating a form where, uh, for example, billing they have to create, right? Billing is what something they were doing. Within how much time the billing has to complete. This is what something which comes under the business duration point of view. That is something which we have to see. This is what something which we have to see, right? So this is something which we need to understand, right? So the business duration of the particular billing time, because point of sale system application, as I mentioned you, it is being used for the billing purpose. When you are going to the store, okay, you have bought some products. So whatever the products was bought by you, so that required scanning will be done for the product. Quantity price, unit price will be displayed on the screen, and they will be mentioning how much quantity you required. If you multiply, automatically the final cost will be. So there is a performance issue comes into picture. What is performance issue? Within how much time the billing should be completed for each and everything. This is where generally, if you remember, back of it as a business analyst side, if you think about this, this is what generally we call it as non-functional requirements. You know that, right?
Yes.
Non-functional. Non-functional requirements majorly stating you about the performance, scalability, load balancing,
Reliability.
reliability, availability, fault tolerance, right? So all these things
Security.
are comes under the non-functional requirements.
Right.
So you need to understand this point, whatever the point I'm mentioning over here, business duration from the non-functional side. Okay. Understood? Clear? Right?
Right. Yes.
Side you have to take. Next, configuration item, contact type, correlation ID. These are all not relevant for the application we have taken. Okay. Not relevant. I'm not taking it. Once list is quite okay. Let us confine to this single column. Next here, the short description. Short description of this is also in single column. Short description of the particular one what we have created, that we are remain the same. Next, billing. Billing is required because point of sale system relating to billing. And next, inventory also. Inventory is also needed because whatever the required in, because whatever the billing we do, it's basically from the access also there. Next, if there is any additional comments, work notes and all.
Raj,
right? So,
Raj, we are making an application, right?
form design. We are doing
A
the
form
design.
in an app.
Form design. Form design.
It's for an app or what?
For the application called POS, point of sale system.
For the we are designing the form, and that app
We are
will
not
be.
designing the form. We are giving the inputs based on
Yes.
form
It's
designing.
already there.
In any other form they can do, because they can create HTML. Using HTML, they can create a form, or else they can use DHTML, or they can use what we call Dreamweaver. They can use PHP. They can use AngularJS nowadays, right? So different front-end tools are available. Using the front-end tools, how to create forms, how to create back-end reports. See, normally application have three layers. Kanishk, listen carefully. One is presentation layer, or second business logic layer. Third is a data layer. Okay, three layers. Presentation layer means whatever the user interface forms, whatever you can see it on the screen. That's what we call it as presentation layer. HTML forms, whatever the HTML forms, Dreamweaver forms, .php or Because if you can see here, here you can see, because in the URL you can see that clearly, right? So here if you can go last to that .html or .php, something like you can see, isn't it? Understand, right?
Yes.
So that is what we call it as presentation layer. Whatever the form designing required information you are going to provide from the business analyst point of view, because this is all something we are doing as an administrator. Here you can see on the top right, I am showing you over here, system administrator, right? From the system administrator point of view only we are doing, but we are not the administrators, we are the business analyst. But whatever the required information to create a form, whatever is needed, if you want to do, you can create and you can do it. Understand? Clear?
Yes, got it.
Do you understand this, right?
Yes, yes.
Because if you take any application, whatever the application you have taken, 3 layers, presentation layer where whatever the required forms you want to be created, everything using HTML or something, that is all comes under the presentation layer part. This presentation layer will be done by the user interface design team. To provide user interface design team to create whatever the required fields, whichever is needed for that, should be given by the business analyst. Normally, this is where something which we have to make some changes in the existing application in a form of administrator role. Being a BA, you are doing this. Understand? Clear?
Yes, got it.
So for this form, whatever the form is designed, back of it, whatever the required code and all everything, they will be taken care of. How the look and feel of the form should look like, color combinations, grandeur, right? So all these things will be done. For example, if you want to add any kind of field to the existing one, backend HTML code, PHP code, and all everything will be written AngularJS related code. So these codes will be written by the development team. That is not something being a BA, we are not relating to that. They will be taken care of. What we are doing is that whatever the required form you are going to create, what are the required inputs to be given to the existing application, that is what something which we have added to the existing ones. Understood? Clear?
Yes, clear.
Agreed, right? So these are the fields. What are the required fields which are required? So those fields we have added to the existing one. That is what something which normally we have done. Next, field types means what are the different field types? This is not something we, for example, HTML one, right? So HTML field types you want to be added to the existing ones. Let's say HTML, we are using HTML to use it. Means if you want to add any new HTML, you can add. Because sometime back only I told you, if you want to create a form, you require some software to be used. That front-end tool, one of the front-end tool we use is called HTML. So
HTML.
HTML forms, normally we call it as. Normally two things. One is form, second is a report. Form is used for input, report is something for output. Form is a front end, report is a back end.
Backend, right?
Middle tier is coding. Whatever the required code people write, that is called middle tier. Do you understand this? Clear?
Yes, I understand.
Right. So this is now we have made some change. Right. So if you okay, save complete, right? So this is what generally the form we have created, because whatever the required form you want to be created, so this required forms, POS1 related form designing is what something we have to create. Now, in this form, what we have created, try from the builder. Okay, it's not required. They will do it. Okay, right. So here there are table, because in which table this is belongs to is what something, but we have taken a table called, this is a table we have taken POS request table is what something we have created for POS1. Okay, we have created it and we have created it and we have shown it in the one column itself. If you want to show this in two different columns, you can do that. But it's not related because it looks
Right.
interesting, right? So in single form, we are showing it. That is relating to the forms. Next is relating to the layouts. For example, the same information, but whatever the layouts you want to be added, so you can add the layouts over here. You can see, okay? Number is what something we have taken. If you don't want the number, you can add it to this, okay? So here you can, these are all available ones. These are the selected ones. Now we have to select what are all required. Priority is required for us.
Right.
Okay, state is required first. It's tracking a lot. So state, right? So state is required. Assign to short description, task type. Task type I am taking out. Bill I am adding. Okay. I am adding the bill. Even I am adding the number as well. Okay. Active.
Active, take it.
Activity, no. Active, yes. Activity, no. Additional assign list not required. Additional comments not needed. Approval history, approval set assigned to, assigned group, business duration.
Closed or
This I'm adding. I think it's no. Yeah, business duration. Business duration we can add it. Okay. Description I'm adding. HTML not required. Order number and all that will be added, will be comes. Okay, order. These are all the ones which was added here. Okay, in context to the layouts and all everything we have added. Next, this is a default view where in view name we have created. Means if you want to change it, default view name, you can change it. Otherwise, you can put it as a default name. Means if you want to create a new field and all, you can create. Product ID. Small thing if you want to add, you can add it.
okay.
Product ID was added here. Okay. Whatever is not related, whatever is not available here, if you want, you can add.
You can create it.
Product ID number I have given. Billing product ID number. Units. Number of units. For example, someone has taken bath soaps. 3 soaps were taken, right? Units has to be added. Number of units. Am I right? Right. It's
Yes,
not only
right.
single unit. They can add multiple units to the existing one.
Right.
Units are required. On the form, it is all required. Choosing that's not needed. Product description was mentioned already. Assigned to state number. Number means generative ID number will be added. Units were taken. Let me add all that. First product ID I'm adding. Okay. Product ID in the top.
Units.
Units is in the second. Okay. Next,
Add some code. Add some short description or
description
some
about the product. About the product. About the product. Product ID number which will be accessed from the inventory system. Okay.
Right.
Let us, instead of adding it, we can add new fields here. Okay. Short description, units, product ID. Unit price should also
rate or price. We can add rate or price.
Unit price.
Unit price.
Per unit price, right? Unit price is required. Unit price you can add.
Yes.
Unit price. Unit price first, then units. Okay. Then units, then short description. Okay. Next.
Total, we can add total.
Total. Total with taxes. Okay. Total.
Yes.
After total, add tax. Okay. Add tax. Tax added. Total add tax. Final amount. Am I right? Final amount.
Yes.
These are all string types, because these are all digits, right? String type. Strings, right? So final amount we have taken, and you are clicking on save. Understood? Clear to you?
Yes.
So this is what something which we create, because data models we have created, forms we have created, list layouts we have created. Next is about the roles. I'll discuss it tomorrow. How these roles can be added and all. That I will do it tomorrow. Okay, clear? Clear to you, Kanishk?
Yes.
Any
Yes,
doubt?
sir. No.
Right, so this is how we do it, and I will give you access tomorrow onwards. You can do that. Okay, tomorrow I'll give you the credentials. You can do from your side, or else you can do it from tomorrow. I will tell you from here. You can share your screen. I will tell you.
Okay. Perfect.
That is better. Instead of doing me and doing yourself, I'll give you access. You do it. I will tell you from here.
Fine.
So that you get the practice also in one way. In the
Right.
class itself, you are doing, so that I'll be there in the class, so that I can guide you. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
See you, Kanishk. Bye.
Raj,
Yeah, tell me.
I'm